Don't forget to listen to John at Gen X Grown Up.
Whatever you do.
Not this show. Trust me. Just skip this episode. Gen X Grown Up's doing something. Hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence at this very moment, and then this moment, and the moment that's coming, and that one that passed. My name is Will, and joining me, as always, are my friends / co-hosts, Kat and John. Hello there.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Hello. And while you've got your phone on there, don't forget to check out John hosting his very own podcast, Gen X Grown Up.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, on today's show, we'll be dispelling some of the quote-unquote facts we learned as kids. And in the process of doing that, we're also going to learn that Gen X is the smartest generation. I've got a scientific proof. And finally, and this is going to be surprising to, actually, maybe it'll be, no, it won't be surprising to anyone, except maybe, but there's going to be a twist. We're going to learn how dumb people don't know that they're dumb.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. Now, I'm thinking, look, listener, dear listener, you're thinking, I know that. I know plenty of people who don't know they're dumb. But here's the thing. Have you ever considered whether you're that person? And you might be. And maybe any of us are.
It's like seeing dead people, and then you just don't know it.
It's probably better that we don't know.
It's a club to which you could belong and not know it.
Not to be confused with Fight Club, but...
John, you weren't supposed to talk about that. We told you at the very beginning, the first night.
Nobody gave me a copy of the rules.
No, but we repeated it over and over again. Anyway. Hey, and just to be clear, when we talk about being dumb, we're not just talking about anybody's amount of education anybody's had. You could have, a Harvard degree and still be dumb. And you could be a person who has, less education than that and be smart in this regard. We're just talking about how folks who know the least about a particular thing tend to overestimate how much they know about it.
Yeah.
Right? We'll talk more about it in detail, but probably, for headlines, etc., these studies came down to talking about dumb people don't know they're dumb kind of thing. And we're using that too. Anyway, before we do any of that dumb stuff, we're going to review current news stories related to 1980s media, including Stranger Things is coming to a theater near you. I guess if you live in London.
Well, yeah, if you're in England.
NBC has got a Hot Wheels makeover reality show that's going to require some really small paint. And there is a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming to the screen that I'm excited about, actually. I didn't know I was going to.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, all right. But before that, two brief announcements. Hey, join us Wednesday, March 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be on Facebook streaming live. We're going to be recording the next episode of the podcast live on Facebook. And we're going to be talking about UFOs in the 1980s. There's all talk about UFOs now, today, and it seems like it's getting more intense and more real. We experienced that already in the 1980s, but we're going to be talking about that on the show and sharing your comments. So you commented during the live show, and we'll share your thoughts and experiences throughout the show. And another announcement, hey, keep an ear out for our special bonus exclusive interview. I notice every time we do one of those, I keep trying to remember what to call it. Even though at the beginning of every one, when we record them, it doesn't occur to me. Then I listen back and I'm like, we went through this already. So I think we said exclusive interview.
Exclusive interview. Yes.
Okay. So keep an ear out for our exclusive interview with comedian Alonzo Bowden. It's coming up in a few days. Alonzo has this great stand-up special called Stupid Don't Get Tired. And look, when researching our episode that we're going to talk about later today, what he says about it in his stand-up is simultaneously accurate and hilarious, right? Which I guess is the best makeup of the best comedy.
Good humor.
So we're going to get his takes on some of the things that we're going to talk about today and more. So keep an ear out for that. Right.
Okie doke.
And that's all of that. All right. Hey, let's get caught up on 1980s news. All right, here we go. Hey, as reported by Variety, Stranger Things stage play The First Shadow is set to open in London's West End this year. So Netflix announced that this stage play, which is a spin-off of the very popular series, which I enjoyed. In fact, I think the fourth season, the last one that was out, not the final one, because I know we've got another one coming, but may have been my favorite, I think, since the first.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
It's hard for me to judge season to season. I just love it all.
I kind of remember 2 was it was fine. 3 was maybe better but grosser.
Yeah.
And then 4 was took 45 minutes to get going, but then it was off.
I really like 2. 2 is the introduction of Max, so we got Sadie Sink in there, which was
that's true.
the introduction of her. And I like it all across the board, which makes me just absolutely beside myself that the next thing that's possible to see in the universe is in London on a stage that I'm not going to go to.
Right?
Like, okay, where's the novelization, or where's the, give me the Hamilton treatment of the stage show or something,
What does that mean? Make a musical out of it?
No, just record it and then put it on Disney Plus so I can see it. Well, Netflix, wherever it is. Yeah. Because I never saw Hamilton live either, because A, I don't live in New York, and B, I'm not a millionaire because tickets are $8,000 a seat or something. But I saw it on Disney and it was awesome. So I wish I could see it somehow. Yeah.
Well, it's tours, It's probably come someplace near you, I would think.
I would hope that it would come to America at some point.
Hamilton?
Oh,
it's been here, Kat. It started here.
Not Hamilton. I'm
we're talking about the Stranger Things thing.
You guys got me so
Stranger Things.
so turned around.
I jumped. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I jumped ahead.
Yes. Well, hey, you know how it works. They often workshop these things in different places, including the West End is a very popular place to do that. And if it's a success, it will definitely come to America. In fact, Back to the Future, the musical, was in the West End for quite a time. Got extended because of the pandemic. Well, it got delayed. But it's coming to New York in July. And I will be there. I think opening week it is, actually.
And you're going.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a very good chance this will come if it's a hit. Now, whether it's a hit or not, that's what I want to talk, can be a hit or not, that's what I want to talk to you guys about, because this show, mentioning the 4th season, this show seems to be most directly connected to that, although it is a prequel. Netflix describes it as, quote, Hawkins 1959, a regular town with regular worries. Now, here's where we start to recognize some things familiar from the show. Young Jim Hopper's car won't start. Bob Newby's sister, so Bob Newby was the character played by Sean Astin, his sister won't take his radio show seriously, and Joyce Maldonado just wants to graduate and get the hell out of town. Now, so far I'm interested, because we've known from watching the series, these characters knew each other, or knew of each other. They had a history of some sort.
Yes.
But this is where I get a little confused. When new student Henry Creel arrives, his family finds that a fresh start isn't so easy, and the shadows of the past have a long reach. So, wait a second. Henry Creel's a character that popped up in the 4th season in 2 ways, in flashback, and then I don't want to spoil anything, but he turns out to be a major character during the current season itself.
That's right.
But I don't recall these 3 characters that we mentioned talking about having a history or knowledge of him. Maybe I'm just not remembering. In other words, I feel like they're trying to trying to crowbar these characters together in a way that, it's contrived, seems contrived.
I can't remember. Can you please tell me if, and at any point, do those characters that, like Joyce and, when Hopper and, did they ever know about Henry Creel? Like we learn, but, and I guess Elle knows, but how, what's the exposition on that?
Yeah.
Was it ever like, like Henry Creel did this? I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't have time to
rewatch it.
I think they were familiar with the Creel house.
Okay.
But they make it almost sound like he's, going to be in school with them or something when the new student arrives.
That does sound like, yeah.
Well, I didn't know everybody in my high school well. There were people that I hung out with, and then there were people that I never talked to. I knew where they lived. I knew where they were by reputation, but I didn't spend time with them. So I don't think it's irrational that there are a group of people who were friends and stayed close, and then there are people on the fringe that happen to be around the same age, but they maybe weren't close. So you can explain it away, I think, without too much difficulty. It makes sense to include those people in there because of their ages, and they would all fall in the same. It would be around the town at the same time. So, I
think the thing that I get concerned about is them doing something that's, breaks the current plot as it exists with in the season 4. And I think about it in terms of Star Wars. We had Star Wars, and it told us the first 3 that came out chronologically. That came out chronologically in our lives, not in the story.
Yep.
Then when the prequels came out, all these questions were raised about, this dialogue in episodes 4, 5, and 6 don't make sense anymore. Because they created this backstory that would have informed the characters in the films we saw in a different way. Or they seem strange that they ignore. Like, Ben Kenobi doesn't recognize R2-D2. I mean,
right.
he spent a lot of time with the guy. So that kind of stuff. Like, I wonder, are we going to get into a jam like that?
That's a good point.
If we could avoid that, then fine. I'm curious.
That's the problem with any prequel is, when a franchise starts, you don't necessarily know that anybody is ever going to go back and dig up the past.
Yeah.
So you kind of, you might lay this intricate thing, not thinking, well, I should leave you think about the future. I'm going to, leave some roads to explore, but you don't think about how the past is kind of tied up. I think about, Star Trek has done this all the time as well, where they'll, hey, let's go back and do Discovery. And there are all these disconnects, and how would that person not know this person? And how can we never heard of this? This is such a big deal.
Right.
And it's the tug of war between wanting to create compelling drama and wanting to satisfy the existing universe. And I think sometimes you have to bend the rules a little bit in order to keep everybody happy.
As long as they could bend it without breaking it, I suppose. I mean, the comforting thing, I suppose, is that it was written by a Stranger Things writer and co-producer, co-executive producer Kate Trefree, from an original story by the Duffer Brothers, Jack Thorne and Kate Trefree herself. The production will be helmed by a Tony-winning director, Stephen Daldry. So, look, you've got the right folks involved, so maybe could be fine. It's tickets will be available or start going for sale this spring.
I'll have to go back to London.
Yeah. All right, that's a trip. Maybe I'd make it for that, Kat. We'd be indoors.
Wow.
Right.
Inside.
There you go. I want to know. Look, we know that there's an aspect of this is supernatural and sci-fi, horror, these kinds of things. I love when they do stuff like that on stage, where it's like seeing a play, but they use tricks of theater. Sometimes they hire, I think we've talked about this before, they hire illusionists to come up with ways that they can do certain things on stage. Ooh. Like if you've seen Phantom of the Opera, some of the things the Phantom does, it's like, how did that happen? Like he disappears in a chair and he's gone. They hire, they hire magicians to help develop these stunts.
I'll tell you, I saw Beetlejuice on Broadway and it was phenomenal.
Oh,
same kind of thing. The supernaturally, how did they do that? I mean, and they had the giant black and white striped sandworm and everything in it. I mean, it was phenomenal. Yeah.
Hey, as Hollywood reported by the Hollywood Reporter, NBC has ordered Hot Wheels, a car makeover reality show. Now, I seem to remember that both of you were into Hot Wheels as kids.
I absolutely was. I had one around here. I think I brought it into school. I can't find it right now. But yeah.
You mean to school like recently, not when you were a kid?
Last week, yeah.
Okay.
I brought it in.
So what grade are you in now?
Oh.
Not even Hot Wheels in particular. I mean, Hot Wheels, Matchbox, any of those cars. I purchased some recently. It's almost like a pop vinyl for me. If they make a Hot Wheels or a Matchbox box car that is related or supposed to be decorated in the theme of something. Like I picked up some Rock'em Sock'em Robots cars the other day just because.
Oh my gosh.
Just because. Yeah.
I had some Matchbox cars, and I want to say, and this is going to sound terrible, but I think it's true. I think I threw them out recently, within the last few years, because I had this purging in my basement where I was like, finally, I need space, and I could be nostalgic about certain things, but not everything. And I think maybe my Matchbox cars were, suffered the sort of the fate of being tossed out. But I remember I had a Batmobile little Matchbox car and a Batcopter, a Joker mobile. One of my favorites was a Lion Tamer's truck, and as you pushed it, the lion walked in a circle. And
the little lion spun around, didn't it? Yes.
Oh
it was attached to the wheel.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I remember having a Spider-Man helicopter, a thing that
I had that too.
Exist.
The web was the blades. It was a spider.
Was the blade? Yeah, and it had the little the 8 legs. That
yes,
exactly.
Oh, I wish. Maybe I still have them in the back here. I don't know.
I did not have those. No. I still have this Matchbox little.
What does it say?
I don't. Well, Matchbox.
It says Matchbox. Okay, yeah.
I don't know where the front is.
Could cars actually fit inside that trailer?
Oh, a little teeny car.
Looks a little narrow.
Okay, but not an actual.
You know what could fit in here?
Star Wars figure?
Hot dog?
No.
Hot dog? John's eating hot dogs out of the back of a truck.
Wait, what?
Literally.
It would fit?
Do you remember these little teeny tiny ones? I love these. This is
like
Porsche.
a micro machine or something?
Yeah. Micro machine. Here, that fits.
yeah.
Whoop.
There we go.
Goes right in there. Yep.
Oh, very cool. So yeah,
That's obscene.
Yeah.
Hot Wheels certainly sparked our imaginations as kids, and I think that's they're trying to leverage that combination of nostalgia and interest in cars to come out with this new show, Hot Wheels Ultimate Challenge. It's described as a car makeover series where fans will face off to transform an ordinary vehicle into a Hot Wheels showstopper, inspired by personal stories and pop culture touchstones in a high-tech decked out garage. John is shaking his head no. All right, another 1980s news. That shows this.
It feels forced.
Okay.
Isn't this this is just a branded Pimp My Ride, pretty much is what it sounds like.
Yes.
It's taking a car, doing something with it. Oh, by the way, Hot Wheels, remember those? It's not like the Lego game show.
Oh, yeah.
At least that's about building Lego.
Yeah.
But this, of course, is not going to be about, let's get our little paintbrushes and paint our tiny cars. It's not going to be doing, they're going to do Matchboxes or Hot Wheels or whatever they are. They're going to be doing big cars, which I think isn't in the spirit of collecting the little cars.
I agree, but I'm willing to see what it is because you're right. The first time I saw this headline, I thought this is going to be so cool. I pictured dudes with magnifying glasses and like little garages pimping out cars to do things. And
that's right.
the model making aspect of it was like really exciting to me because I love seeing
Imagine the
people do
limits, right? Like you have X amount of, you can only weigh so much, or you can only use so many materials, all the things you could do. Yeah. But this is just going to be doing real cars, which,
And then you got to race them on one of those slot tracks, where you like do a loop or something.
I'll wait. If you say it's good, because you're going to give it a chance, I might try it. But otherwise, I'm not going to look at it.
Well, the thing for me is, I want to see, they say it's going to be inspired by pop culture and these different things. How much of it is it going to seem like a Matchbox car come to life? And I don't mean when you have a Porsche Matchbox car, because that's supposed to look like a Porsche. Well, you could just pull up in a Porsche. I mean, like the ones we're talking about, these niche ones. Are they going to make a spider copter? Look, that's interesting to me. If you could pull off that kind of thing, like we're doing it in reverse, you take a Matchbox car, make a life-size version of that. All right, maybe that's kind of cool.
I'm not, I feel neutral about this. Yeah. I'm sure it could be entertaining in some way, but I'm not super excited. Yeah.
Let me run the spectrum. Will's going to give it a shot. Cat's neutral. I think it's dumb.
All right, so it's probably going to be a flop then. The 10-episode series will be hosted by someone I don't know, Rutledge Wood, who I guess hosted Top Gear US, which is kind of lending credence to what you're saying is, John.
Rutledge Wood, amazing.
So you're having a real car guy host it. So I guess you're leaning towards the real car aspect of it and not the... Yeah. He will also serve as one of the judges. So they're going to have a panel of celebrity judges, all of whom I've never heard of.
In other 1980s news.
I mean, you have this statement from the executive vice president of unscripted programming at NBC Universal, which sounds like something a publicist probably actually wrote. Everyone remembers their first car, the life experiences they had, and the friends who came along for the ride. Hot Wheels is a legendary brand that has created a space for imaginations to run free. Again, John, this is everything you're saying is big. Everyone remembers their first car. Why isn't everyone remembers their first Hot Wheel?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and then they tag on Hot Wheels as a legendary brand.
Now watch how we use it to do a car show.
Yeah.
I have this, this is not a Hot Wheels, but it's a little motorcycle. I think it was like Chips. I like Chips,
No? Does it have some sort of police
Yes.
insignia
it's
or
a
something
police
like it?
motorcycle.
I mean, it looks really
Where
cool.
does she get these wonderful toys?
It looks super cool.
This is my favorite. I loved this.
Well, you're a Poncho John fan. Which one did you write fan fiction about, Kat?
I found my Duran Duran fan fiction.
Yes!
I don't
We're
know
getting
if
closer.
I can share
We're
it.
getting closer. Just give it to me, Kat. I'll read it.
Can we just do a dramatic reading of it on the show?
1984.
It's
Simon
wow.
LeBond.
No, James LeBont. Remember? James LeBont. The wolf is getting hungry.
And stepping out of the shower also.
He shakes off like a dog.
I'm showered in droplets of sweet, sweet nectar.
Is any of this part of your story?
No.
It can be.
No. None of it.
Yeah. Are you open to
Can
rewrites or spec scripts?
That's right. We would read it verbatim. We wouldn't riff on it at all.
Yeah,
Kat.
no. We could hire someone to read it.
Fiverr.com. Just saying.
Yeah. How sultry are we talking about here? Do I need to get one of these, podcasters who does this adult fan fiction, quote unquote?
No, it's 14-year-old.
Oh, okay, well,
sultry.
I'm not bringing a 14-year-old to do that. That's getting weird. This is
No, that's weird.
Oh,
all right, moving on. I'm just gonna move on.
Yes, let's just move on. Yep.
Hey, and finally, as reported by Entertainment Weekly, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gets a Spider-Verse style makeover in Mutant Mayhem. Right. So just as quickly as we learned who we're going to voice the new Teenage Mutant, do you already have figures for the movie? Those look like kind of like the ones.
These are from the 80s, man.
Well, Kat's just bringing out a lot of toys that people can't see on our audio podcast.
There's toys all around me. You should see this.
That's very cool. Very cool. Looking in great shape. So we just found out who was going to voice the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles a few days ago, and then I think it was within 24, 48 hours, the trailer dropped.
I didn't get to see
it. I've got to tell you, I don't know the name. I don't recognize. Look, just like I was saying about the folks hosting that Matchbox car show.
Right.
I don't know any of these kids. Not the kids playing the main Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And when I say kids, some of these are quite young actors too. Nicholas Cantu, Shimon Brown Jr., Mika Abbey, Brady Noon. No, I'm sorry. I'm sure they're all talented. I just don't know. But among the actors that I do know that are providing voices, Jackie Chan will be playing Splinter, and I think that's awesome.
I love that.
Right?
Yes, that's awesome.
I saw what Juan Carlos Esposito is on the list, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's playing Baxter Stockman.
I know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
I think I think in the comics, or he like mutates into a fly maybe or something like that.
Oh, really? You know your turtles, I guess. Huh?
Just maybe slightly more than you guys, only slightly.
It wouldn't take much.
So Seth Rogen, who is also producing the film along with Evan Goldberg.
Well, Seth Rogen is voicing.
He's providing a voice as well. He will be the new Bebop. And John Cena will be Rocksteady.
That's also awesome. Yeah.
Among the other actors I recognize, Ice Cube's playing Superfly. Paul Rudd is playing Mondo Gecko. Rose Byrne is playing Leatherhead. Anyway, what did you guys think? Did you take a look at the trailer?
Yeah, the first thing I thought as soon as I saw it was Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah. I mean, it's the same kind of almost like zero motion blur sort of animation. That it's almost like a series of cartoon stills that just happen to be a few frames apart.
Right.
It's like a penny arcade, like you're flipping the pages of the penny arcade kind of thing, which was done to really good effect, I thought, in the Spider-Verse films coming soon, I guess, the subsequent one. So I'm not a huge devotee of the Turtles. I enjoy them casually, and I watch the cartoon a little bit, but the humor in this looks good. I mean, the final scene really where they're talking about whether it was goo or ooze, and they think ooze just sounds better. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that kids would do, right? They're like, no, it just sounds cooler, right? You know, it's just that kind of silly thing that they would have a debate about, I think, kind of informs the tone of this film. And so I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of the CGI versions that we had. Well, they weren't CGI. They were live action / CGI. Sure. We had 2 films like that. I hadn't seen either of them.
I didn't either, no.
But I loved the ones that came out in the, was it early 90s? Where where Henson's company made the animatronic heads.
Yes.
Oh, I love those films. As an adult, I was going to see them like on opening night. That's how much of a fan I was. Yeah.
I had a Ninja Turtle watch, Donatello, flipped open, so I could see the time. Yeah.
Was it like his head that you flipped open, like his face?
No, it was a whole little bit of his body. The whole it just flipped open, and then the digital readout was inside.
Oh, digital.
Yeah.
Well, that'll tell you what my knowledge is of the Turtles. Like, I don't know them by name. I know there's the purple one. Yeah. There's the orange one. There's the one with the stick. There's the one with the right.
Wow. Kat knows more than any of us.
Yeah.
Oh,
so the most what I thought was kind of meta in this trailer, though, is that one of the turtles accidentally gets a sigh stuck in his thigh, which rhymes, which is really cool. Which is ironic because they've never stabbed or hit anyone in the history of ever, and then one of them gets stabbed, which is just like, it's only in like maybe an inch. It's just enough to sit there, and he's like, oh my God, that's going to hurt kind of looking thing. But it struck me as funny because like the A-Team where you shoot 1 million bullets and nobody gets hit.
Right.
And Turtles, where nobody gets stabbed, the first person to get poked is going to be one of the turtles themselves by their friend, Friendly Fire.
I'm going to nerd out for a minute.
Yeah,
so,
please
John,
do it.
Donatello is the purple one. Okay.
He has the stick, staff. Right? Okay,
yes,
I know that.
He has the big stick. That's right. Leonardo is the blue one.
Okay. What's he got?
Katana.
Okay. He's got the sword.
Michelangelo is the orange one. and he has nunchucks.
So there's a green one now? What's left?
No.
Well, they're all green, John.
Well, I meant the mask. Yeah, of course.
I know, I'm teasing you. And that's Raphael. Raphael's
Okay.
red.
Raphael.
So it's a good
Red,
mnemonic
red,
for
red,
you.
red.
Yep, and he has the
At
side.
the sides, yeah. He was my
He's the
favorite.
side. Oh, I missed that, obviously.
On the arcade, the Teenage Mutant Ninja arcade game, I like to play as Raphael and use the side.
Me too, because he's got the range of the bow stick. It's awesome. Yes.
No, the sides.
John,
Talking about the sides.
No?
no,
Who's that?
side.
Who's that? See, I don't know them.
We just went through it 5 seconds ago.
I didn't know there'd be a test. I like the purple one with the stick. Okay, that's who
Okay,
I
there
like.
you go.
Donatello. That's Donatello.
Sure.
All
Okay.
right.
Is Donatello, he's like the leader of the Teenage Mutant
No,
Turtles?
Donatello is the technical geeky one,
Oh,
and
okay.
he creates their, their ship or their
Okay.
car or their armored tank or whatever. Leonardo is the leader. He's the one.
Leonardo
Okay.
leader. Okay, John.
Leader.
Ooh,
Okay.
there's a
There's
good
a mnemonic
mnemonic.
I can work with.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Raphael is red.
Ooh.
He's
okay.
red and he has a little rage problem.
Okay.
Ah, interesting.
And Michelangelo, he's goofy. He's just like he's the surfer dude one.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Right.
Cowabunga.
Cowabunga.
So since you are a Turtles expert, I'm going to ask you this. That's always puzzled me about the Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they wear masks? It's not as if you're not going to recognize these mutated turtles. And do they have, like, they don't have a non-superhero identity that they're out there. So why bother wearing a mask at all?
Amazing.
I love that
Right?
question.
Just one of them is a
there's no
turtle
good
and
answer
he
for
works
it.
at the insurance, now the insurance bureau.
I can tell you the actual real reason.
The
why
red
they
one
have
is the
masks.
DMV.
The real reason is that when Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 80s, originally they had no masks. But when you're reading a comic and you can't hear the voices, you can't tell them apart.
Oh my gosh.
So they added the masks so that
Right.
they can you could distinguish who it was.
Brilliant.
But I have a problem with that.
Oh, why?
When they created them, they were in black and white. So how would having masks have helped?
That was your answer.
I guess we're done with the
You
news.
just shut me up.
You know, this plays perfectly into our topic because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe John's wrong. Maybe Kat doesn't know what she's talking about. Who knows? I don't know.
There's very few things that I know what I'm talking
But
about.
I will tell you, and this does play into what we're talking about, is when I just told you what I did, which I'm pretty sure that's right. Now, John threw me for a loop when he told me that black and white. So I was like, oh shit, you're right. They were in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when they were black and white, they didn't have masks yet.
Maybe so.
Hey, Jeff Rowe, we'll find out. Let's find out. We'll find out.
Let's find out.
Jeff Rowe directs
Let's
the film,
find
which is co-directed by Kyle Spears, and it comes out in theaters August 4th. And I will go check it out. I'm definitely curious.
I definitely want to see it.
The
Yep.
animation style for me, that John pointed out, was a big selling point.
Mm-hmm,
Yep.
And it looks very much like that, but almost more three-dimensional. Like it's almost like models that
Yes.
are being animated versus
There's
just
definitely some more
paper.
depth, more shading, kind of. Yeah, I agree.
which seemed pretty cool.
Mhm.
All right, hey, that was 1980s news, and I'm gonna play it again. There you go. Count yourself
This
lucky.
time.
Also known as the John Shut Up music.
Hey, our independent podcast is brought to you every week by folks just like you. So if you'd like to help us out, please follow us on the podcast platform you're listening to right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share an episode on Facebook. All of these actions just take a moment and are 100% free. But if you'd like to chuck in a buck and help us keep publishing the show week after week, please visit us at 1980snow.com/support to find out how you can send us $1 or $2. And thank you so much. It means a lot. So we're going to talk about this, what I mentioned earlier. We're going to debunk a few myths that we learned in high school that we were sure were correct.
Oh.
We're bunked, and we're going to debunk them.
Yes, we were bunked. But
Are you sure we can bunk on a podcast? Is that allowed?
They can't see us.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
You're right.
Cat trying to make like a innuendo?
I think I was.
She's like, is this what it feels like? I'm not sure. It's a new feeling.
Did I do dirty right?
When you hear it back, you'll know, Cat. You'll find out. I'll let you decide.
It just sounded kind of,
Yeah. No, I gotta say. So we're gonna be talking about debunking these myths, and along the way, I told you we're gonna also touch base on this concept of dumb people not knowing they're dumb, and it may be you.
But first.
All right, so here, look, I've got to make this sound like a smart thing, because this is the thing. I might be the dumb one. I might be the dumb one.
Was he waiting for someone to correct him? I don't know what happened there.
He's waiting.
Okay.
No, Will, it's not you.
No, Will. No.
I might be the dumb one. So, to sound smart, I'm going to start off with a couple of quotes, okay? In 399 BC, Socrates was said...
I might be the dumb one. Socrates was said that he was talking.
Talking words.
I'm just thinking about when we're talking all the time, and then when Will is expecting us to jump in, perfectly silent.
Nothing.
Nobody's going to stop me. Yeah. Correct me. Right. Jump in anytime.
You wanted a podcast, didn't you, Will? So talk. You say you're dumb one, then you're the dumb one.
You told us to never correct you. So,
yeah. According to Plato, and there's some dispute about all this, but Socrates was said to have, and I'll paraphrase it here, when he was commenting on whether or not he was talking about the intelligence of folks who proclaim themselves to be wise, politicians, other people that were saying their authorities. Socrates said, quote, I am better off, I'm saying quote, but I just told you that he might not have really said it, and they're paraphrasing it, and there's a lot of different translations. I am better off than he is, for he knows nothing and thinks he knows. I neither know nor think I know. Sometimes this is shortened to say that Socrates said, the only thing I do know is that I know nothing. No, he may not have said any of that. And Socrates, a couple of times, at least in some of these books that Plato wrote, clearly said he knew things.
He must have thought he knew something.
Anyway, some attribute to 20th century philosopher Bertrand Russell as having said, quote, the whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, and the wiser people so full of doubts. And in 1984, philosopher George Allen O'Dowd, you know him, said, quote, war is stupid and people are stupid and love means nothing in some strange quarters.
Wow.
So there you go.
War was stupid and people are stupid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Culture Club.
So, you know that philosopher? George Allen O'Dowd?
I actually didn't know his full name.
So, this, for me, this all started, even when I talk about this, it goes back to the times that we've reported on the show, talked about something that was born out of one of these quote unquote sources of pop culture news that drive me crazy. You know this. We hear a lot of talk about how there's, fake news, and we have friends and family who propagate this stuff on social media and at the Thanksgiving table. Well, we don't have to get political to be concerned about this because it touches the things, the movies, the music, the television shows, the artists that we love, because there's plenty of these, sources that say they have quote unquote exclusive stories and quote unnamed reliable sources to try to feign credibility. And oftentimes they're quoting one another to try to create this sort of, what I think, John, what did you call it, John? Circle of shit or something? I don't remember. There's something more poetic than that.
Is it the snake eating its tail?
The Cerberus, who's the snake eating his tail thing.
Okay, yeah, Ouroboros or the, yeah.
Aurora Borealis.
That is not what John said. It was something with shit. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so I was thinking about, and part of the challenge with these things is because they have these audiences that don't know better. But how can they know better? Because they're relying on these sources, right? And so just Googling even that idea, I found very quickly that there's this concept that dumb people don't know they're dumb. But I want to tell you before that was even more alarming, and that compounds this, is what's happening with the IQ of our society. So in 1984, taking this back to the 1980s, in 1984, political scientist James Flynn discovered that the intelligence values measured, so IQ quotients, IQ intelligence quotients no matter where you measured it around the world, they had been rising continuously since the beginning of the 20th century. This came to be known as the Flynn effect. And the intelligence raised about 3 IQ points per decade. And folks then attributed this to better nutrition, medical care, and more access to education.
Yeah.
But shortly after the turn of the millennium,
Oh boy.
Norwegian statisticians discovered that the Flint effect was no longer working. On the contrary, some countries have recorded declining IQ scores since then.
Uh-oh.
Everyone is getting dumber. I don't know that we can be getting dumber necessarily because, we're of a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
But as each generation subsequently is born, they are significantly lower intelligence scores.
Wow.
The good news for Gen Xers is in a 2018 study that examined the IQ scores of men, it doesn't mention women, but we could, probably say it would be similar. Men born between 1962 and 1991. The researchers found that the scores increased for men born between 62 and 75.
Yay, that's me.
Safe.
But they began decreasing for men born after 1975. But scientists can't figure out why this is the case. They have a bunch of theories as to why we're getting dumber. They ruled out genetics, though, because you might think automatically, well, if a smart family begets smart children. But they found that two brothers within a same family, depending on their age, could have significantly different IQs, with, again, the older brother being, quote unquote, smarter than the younger kid.
It really feels to me, you say the turn of the century is when the things kind of turned, and this is going to sound like an ignorant knee-jerk reaction because you go, well, damn internet did it, but
Okay.
when you peel back the layers of the internet, it's not that the internet is to blame. It's people's behaviors on the internet because they are now able. It used to be if you had an opinion, you had to walk outside and talk to other people that might not necessarily share your opinion, and you tempered that opinion, right? Yeah. You either it got stronger or weaker as you talked to people, downtown or at the corner store or over the water cooler. Mm-hmm. And since you can go to the internet and search for people that already agree with you, right? There's the echo effect that you were talking about, the echo chamber. Your ideas don't get tempered. They only get reinforced. And if you see something you don't like, you can click away from it and not deal with it.
Right.
That's
and
true.
so you stop being informed.
It's funny you bring that up, John. I did something yesterday, which I don't normally do, which was to share something that had a controversial feel to it on Facebook. Yep. And this morning, I think I regret it, and I'm scared to go on Facebook ever again.
No. Are you in Facebook jail?
Are you Q?
But there were two comments that I saw this morning before I went to work, which I was like, oh, that's right. There's people that I have as friends on Facebook who aren't going to agree with me on this, which is fine. And then I got a text message from my husband saying, wow, you stepped in a hornet's nest, and I'm really scared to go see what's going on.
Oh, and you haven't seen it yet?
No, I haven't looked yet. But I don't have all of the same type of friends on Facebook. There's people speaking up and sharing their opinion, and that's great. I know people have different opinions, but it is too easy. I could be like, oh, I'm not going to be their friend anymore, and I'm going to not listen to them. But I don't want to do that.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could. But I don't want to do that. I want to have a variety of exposures to different ideas.
And I would agree with Kat. I do. And, I'm not holier than thou. I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else, but I'll often, I went down to the Daytona flea market a couple of weekends ago. And
sounds like the beginning of a country song.
He does.
The people,
or maybe a blues song. Bum, 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 bum.
Went down to the Daytona flea market.
Don't go, to find a Donkey Kong jigsaw puzzle.
Don't. I'm playing the music now.
I got the Donkey Kong jigsaw puzzle was missing one piece blues.
But I passed up on the trucker vinyl. Go ahead.
The people at the Daytona flea market are generally, collectively, and on average, opposed to my political viewpoint.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Okay.
Which is fine. And I was there with a friend. But I wasn't angry and I wasn't offended. I was more like, I want to understand why that person thinks that is okay and stands there in front of it selling it. Like, I would like to understand how they got to that point that they think that's okay. They think that's cool. Why? It's, it wasn't like, I hate you, I think you're a bad person. I'm like, That person clearly got to that place through a series of decisions.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know where they went wrong. Of course, in my opinion, right? Where they went wrong. But they're not doing something they think is stupid, right?
Yeah.
They think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
How did you get there? It's almost like you think about Thanos in the Avengers. He didn't think he was doing bad.
Right.
He had the right. In his mind, he was the hero, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that those people who I disagree with, I'm like, they think they're so right. I would love to understand it. I'm not saying it's going to change my opinion, but I like to have my opinions tempered by others' opinions just to see if they hold up or not.
Absolutely.
What you both are describing is an aspect that some of these, scientists, psychologists, sociologists would say is you have an intellectual curiosity, which is an aspect of someone who is, for lack of a better word, smart as compared to what we're talking about. Dumb folks who are who close off because to other opinions because they don't believe there's something that they don't know.
Right.
They think they already have all the information and they've concluded their opinion.
Yeah.
The stupidest thing anyone can say to me is to start a phrase with, I don't care what anybody says, but you've just told me that you're not open to additional input.
Right.
You're finished. Your mind is closed. And anything they say after that is just.
John, what you alluded to initially, right, with the internet and both touched upon is definitely one of the things that scientists suspect may be making us dumber. Changes in the media landscape, digitization of media, increased screen time, the access provided by smartphones has affected our ability to concentrate. You don't have to concentrate or focus or have certain mental skills anymore because you can rely on your smartphone to do these things for you.
Like I was just Googling, why do Ninja Turtles wear masks?
See? Yes.
Like 5 minutes ago.
Take back what I said about you being a smart person. No, but you are curious though. So
when you grew up, it was okay to not know something for a while.
Yes.
You could sit and go, oh, who was that guy in that movie? And instead of grabbing IMDb, you just had to, I don't know. Well, maybe we'll figure it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
All
right. Is this getting too boring already?
Because I was talking?
Yeah, that's exactly. It was a while before I heard myself again. No. One of the things that I wanted to do today is spend some time debunking things that we were bunked with in the 1980s as kids. And I want to say
I was bunked
we were too dumb to know we didn't know. But maybe to be fair, we were kids and young and we relied on other people in a way that folks that we should have been able to trust. But maybe they didn't know better either. So what I wanted to share with you guys is some of these things, just, you can tell me whether or not you heard these things, believed these things when you were younger too, that turn out they're not true in what we call...
Well, that's what I heard.
All right, so here is the first one. You'll get cancer if you stand too close to the microwave.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
I remember
something like that. Yeah. We're hearing something along those lines.
I think when I was a kid, we had one of the under counter microwaves or under cabinet. So it was head level.
Oh.
So it was always don't stand near it while the popcorn is on. The radiation.
You had to leave the room and listen for the space between the pops.
So is that not true now?
No, it turns out that the radiation exists on a spectrum, and the radio frequency radiation used by the microwaves is low energy and not harmful.
Okay.
There you go.
There's no evidence that it poses a risk. And I always thought the little screen on the front with the little holes on it, behind the glass, was a Faraday shield.
Protective?
I thought it was a Faraday shield. They use those in all those sci-fi movies,
Yep.
John.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one. If you shave your hair, it'll grow back thicker.
Yes.
Never
I
heard
didn't
that
hear
one?
that one.
I have
You heard
heard
that
that.
one? I didn't.
Show me your legs, John. When I was a kid, I thought that was true too. I remember having a fine hair mustache even, and now look what I have. I mean, how'd that happen? Well, according to Gillette Venus, a razor cleanly cuts the hair, which results in blunt ends. And once the hair grows back, it might feel thicker because of the bluntness. I don't know about this. This one, visually, I've seen fine hair that gets shaved and then you see thicker hair. So what does that mean? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But in addition, according to this biologist, Kurt Sten, who studied hair for more than 30 years and wrote the book Hair, A Human History, and I've never heard a sadder story than that one.
What a riveting career.
Right.
What do? Hair.
I mean, imagine this guy coming up on a dating app. Can I look at your hair? You can only taste certain things on certain parts of your tongue.
Absolutely.
I remember hearing that or learning
False. It is false.
And I'm convinced it's true.
Really?
And I know it's true.
I am convinced it's true, but not because I believe it from empirical analysis. Like I've taken salt and put it on a part of my tongue.
Oh.
Maybe that part is just dead from too much salt. I don't know what the problem was.
Oh.
But like I can only taste certain, like salty for sure.
As kids, it was either it must have been in a book because we didn't have the internet. There was a diagram of the tongue.
Yes.
It showed salty on the sides.
It had the
sweet in
regions.
front.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It looked like you were carving up a cow. It had those little dotted lines.
Yeah.
Here's the flank steak part of your tongue. Here's the rump roast, right?
It turns out it's wrong. That there's
Wow.
actually taste receptors all over your tongue, and they all pick up all the tastes. It's true that some are slightly more receptive to other tastes than other, but it's so insignificant as to not really make a difference.
Subtle. Okay.
But it's like the perception of color. No one can know what I taste but me. So maybe for me, there are regions that work, and for others, there aren't, right?
But is it because you were told that, and it's one of those psychological phenomena you were so focused on?
Right, but I've tested it, but maybe my brain believes it's working.
You tested it only because someone told you. Otherwise, what would you be testing?
Yeah.
John, is that your tongue that was used as the model for the picture of the diagram?
Yeah, my tongue has those dashed lines on it. I have them
Lines on
tattooed.
it?
Right.
All right.
Convicted witches in the United States were burned at the stake.
Oh.
In Salem, Massachusetts.
Yes.
Or in the Salem witch trials.
It's not true. Nope.
Really?
Nope.
I know that they were crushed and they were drowned.
There you go.
And I always
Yeah, they weren't even
believed
dead.
that they were burned at the
Okay.
stake. But
They were mostly hung. There's only one documented exception, and someone was crushed under stones.
predominantly the guys.
Yes.
They were well hung.
Well,
Oh.
Giles Corey was pressed under large stones.
Wow.
Yep.
Otherwise, they were all hung. All right. How many planets were we taught there were?
9.
9.
How many planets are there?
Well.
9. Damn it. Poor Pluto.
Now apparently there's 8. Yeah, poor Pluto.
Well, I would say this. If you're going to include Pluto,
It's an exoplanet. There are more exoplanets available. I know.
Oh.
there you go. I was going to say we actually have 10. If you're going to include Pluto, you have to say we have 10.
Oh.
Because
And
you're
there are more
right.
beyond Pluto. Yeah.
We were taught that Pluto was a planet, and since they've now downgraded it to a dwarf planet, but in 2005, they discovered another dwarf planet, Eris.
Oh.
ERIS, another really big
Okay.
space rock that orbits our sun. It's actually 27% larger than Pluto.
Wow.
So if you're going to count Pluto, you got to count Eris,
When I was in Cub Scouts and learning about the planets,
right?
we made T-shirts in Cub Scouts from a template that said symbols of the planets. And it's, you know how the different planets have the little emblems. They look like hieroglyphs that
yes.
represent the different planets.
Yeah.
And I loved that shirt. It was a yellow shirt with blue. We had the ink that was it like puffy ink that we drew on the shirts with. I loved it. However, it wasn't until probably a few weeks after I was wearing my shirt around that I realized I left the E off of it. So it was symbols of the plants. And so that shirt then had a little tiny E drawn under the edge of the T that looked really dumb, but I still love that shirt.
Did you make
Yeah.
a little carrot, the little triangle?
No, I just drew a tiny E. It was a little bitty one.
Tiny E.
Symbols of the
That's
plants.
adorable. Well, talking about doing something dumb, I'm kidding. This other phenomenon that I wanted to talk to you about, and the other one was just an aside, and it was 50 minutes of the show, but that's okay. Look, if I were smarter, I would have planned better, but I'm not. So
Nice.
there's the real phenomenon, or the main phenomenon that I wanted to touch on was, again, this idea that dumb people don't know they're dumb. And how do we know this? Well, we had some scientists actually study it. Although I think we probably knew this way before this study was concluded. But this is a fascinating little, what led them to study it, I think it's fascinating.
Uh-huh.
At 5'6" and 270 pounds, this bank robber was impossible to miss on April 19th, 1995. He hit 2 Pittsburgh banks in broad daylight. This could be a true crime.
Oh,
This is one of the ones, this is what I was thinking. Maybe we should just do these stories. That's the whole new podcast. Security cameras picked up good images of his face. He wore no mask
Oh, unlike the Ninja Turtles.
and showed him,
Unlike the turtles. Right?
and he was in black and white, and showed him holding a gun to the teller.
Uh-huh.
Police made sure the footage was broadcast on the 11 o'clock news, and a tip came in within minutes. And just after midnight, they knocked on his door. Identified as MacArthur Wheeler, he was incredulous, saying, but I wore the juice.
The what?
The juice.
How do you wear juice? That sounds sticky.
Wheeler told police he had rubbed lemon juice on his face to make himself invisible to the security cameras.
No.
Well, now he knows he's stupid.
Detectives concluded he was not delusional and not on drugs, just incredibly mistaken. Because he had learned, like we did as kids, that you could use lemon juice as invisible ink. Logically, then, he believed that the juice would make his face invisible to cameras.
I'm sorry. Logically?
This is, yeah, but again, you said, John, to him it was, he tested it out.
You wanted to know, how did people get to that point, right?
He tested it out. Before the heist, he put the juice on his face and snapped a selfie with a Polaroid camera. And he said there was no face in the photo, although police never figured out that part of it. But most likely, if he was a bad bank robber, he was probably a terrible photographer too.
I was going to say.
He was using the forward camera.
Yes.
Well, he used the Polaroid.
Polaroid.
Oh, it was a Polaroid, so.
Maybe he didn't shake it.
It's a bad aim.
Maybe he didn't shake it, or it was aimed over his head.
But Wheeler reported one problem with his scheme. The lemon juice stung his eyes so badly he could barely see. Anyway, so this Cornell professor, David Dunning, heard of this story and thought, there may be some universal aspect to this one bank robber's dim-witted tale. And he worked with a graduate student, Justin Kruger, conducted a series of experiments that concluded if you're just dumb enough, you don't know how dumb you are. And this is known as the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Okay.
And the idea is, the less skill you have at something, the more you will overestimate your skill at something.
And the other facet of that I find really intriguing is the flip side of it, which is if you are actually incredibly competent in something to the point that you are, it's effortless to you, you devalue that skill because you think, oh, that must be easy for everyone because it's easy for me. Right. And you have no idea that you're good at it.
Yes. You're right, John. Right. Yeah.
So I have a concrete example for myself. Yeah. This is not me bragging. This is, but I realized this myself maybe a few years ago when my company would often make you take these tests to identify phishing and spam emails.
Oh, yeah, we do that too.
Okay.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. Like the emails you look and you're like, oh, look at the URL. Oh, look at this misspelling. Look at the wrong logo. Look at the transparency on this GIF or whatever. It's just, as you go through it, it's like, obviously these are spam. But then I realized, and then I find out how many people flunked the test. So I had to take it again. What? What? How could you not? So
wow.
That's sort of like, I must be really good at spotting fake spam. To the point that I think it's ridiculous, only to find out that a good portion of my peers are horrible at it. So maybe I'm really good at that and didn't know it. So.
And you wouldn't necessarily have been thinking to yourself, I'm really good at this.
Right. I don't have a t-shirt that says Spam Master. Like I'm not bragging about it. I didn't think it was a skill,
T-shirt, Spam Master.
It's got to have a can of spam on it though.
It does have a can of spam.
John's just noshing down on a can of spam. Right out of the can.
Like a raw parrot. Delicious.
You're doing a great job. You remind me though. I don't remember if it was the Dunning-Kruger guys or this Benjamin Lyons guy, but they tested people in a number of different ways, and they found the people with the lowest scores believed they had the highest scores or did better than they were in the top 2/3, and the people with the highest scores thought they did less well than they actually did.
You doubt yourself because you like to challenge your beliefs and your competencies.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And I was thinking about, if there was a quiz we could take to see if we're dumb or not. So Dunning cautions people, going back to this Professor Dunning, he cautions people that one of the mistakes people often make, the conclusion they draw from this is that they think it applies to other people.
Okay.
When the point of this is that you've got to consider yourself.
Right. Okay.
But here's the thing. Dumb people would never take the quiz. I don't got to take the quiz. I know I'm smart.
I don't need that.
That's the problem. It's almost are you willing to take a quiz to see if you're dumb? Certainly. Okay, you don't have to take it. You're smart. The fact that you're willing to do it is almost an indicator that you're not in that other cohort.
It bodes well.
And there's no quiz. But
I want a quiz.
Yes.
I like tests.
Maybe it's as simple as that. Just asking, am I an intellectually curious person? Do I really want to know what other people have to say? Is there any more for me to learn?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel really sure and confident about your, positions and your knowledge, you're probably dumb. And if you feel like there's still a little more room to grow, sincerely though, right? Because you just see some dumb, arrogant guy being like, no, yeah, there's always more for me to know. And then you talk to me like, this dude thinks he knows everything.
I think, I guess this is pretty good for me then, that I'm not dumb, because I always assume that someone else, no, thanks, John. I always assume that someone else knows more than I do, or is more skilled at something,
Exactly. Yes.
or has more expertise, and I'm just, trying to.
And it's because you undervalue your own competency, because the things you're competent at are easy for you because you're competent, but you don't think so. You just think, oh, that's a trivial skill. Sure. Everybody can do, quantum mechanics. It's not a big deal. It comes naturally.
I was going to say make really good chocolate chip cookies, but okay.
Yeah. Same thing. Same thing.
That is pretty quantum. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of the opposite of being competent at something, let's do our final round of...
Well, that's what I heard.
Okay, so here's another one. You can't start a sentence with a conjunction.
Oh.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, you can. You sure can.
Right. Like I learned, yes, I was taught that you couldn't. Right. And then I think I was actually... I was editing something Will wrote because he kept using "and," but now I find myself using "and" all the time.
Starting off something with "and"?
Yeah, I've been in the blogs. I've been "anding" a lot.
Do you remember this one? Deoxygenated blood is blue. I mean, I can see it. When you see it in your arm, you can see it in the veins there, it's blue. Then when it hits the air, it turns red. Yeah, that's also a myth.
Oh.
BS.
Really, what you're seeing is the color of your veins.
Okay.
Blood's red. It's always red.
So it's always red. Okay.
Yeah. Now, it may be lighter or darker depending on how much oxygen it has in it, but other than that, it's always red.
Or Funyuns.
What?
Eat enough Funyuns, it'll change the color of your blood. It's slightly yellower.
Is it, what?
You can have orange blood. It's cool.
And the show about being dumb and fake news, John is...
Is this some kind of urban legend that
John is creating right now, live in front of us? Yes.
Right now. Which part of your tongue do you taste the Funyuns with, John?
Point to the part of your tongue.
Can you show us? Yes.
Funyuns are umami.
Oh. Right. I've heard that.
I see Cat's reaching for a phone again.
No, I'm reaching for my brain.
Let's open the Ninja Turtles mask color tab and now open a new tab for Funyuns.
Humans only use 10% of their brains.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I remember hearing that too.
I liked living in a world where that was supposed to be true because it meant there was so much more potential for the human race, and I was depressed to learn that now we're using it all. We're just stupid.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah, it turns out we're using virtually every part of our brain.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's active almost all of the time, according to Barry Gordon, a neurologist at St. John's.
Wow. For some people.
Yeah.
He said, let's put it this way. The brain represents 3% of the body's weight and uses 20% of the body's energy.
It's like America.
Like the world's energy.
Yes.
Bats are blind.
Of course. I always thought that.
Heard that?
Yeah, it's false. In fact, it turns out that bats have eyesight that's better than most of us.
Really?
Really?
It's just that they're often in the dark, so they devised other methods when their eyesight doesn't help them, maybe.
Right. In addition to their normal sense of sight, they use echolocation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would think you'd need more than just sound to catch a mosquito. I would think sight might help a little bit.
Right. Yeah, they're not
Maybe.
They're notoriously not quiet.
Right.
And finally, camels store water in their humps.
I remember at some point being told that. Yeah. And then at some point I learned it was not true. What is there? Do you know?
Yeah, regardless of the quantity, because some camels have one and some have two. It actually stores fat, which is used as a food substitute when camels are traveling long distances with limited resources.
Yeah. It's very gristly, too.
Ugh. Are you going to eat camels now?
With Funyuns.
Raw camel. There's going to be a raw animal eaten in every episode.
Forget the parrots. John's moving on to camels.
On to camels. All right, there you go. That's enough of that. Hey, and we asked you on Facebook, or on our social medias, all the accounts, to tell us anything that you recall having learned when you were young that turned out not to be true. And Brad wrote, as a former member of the KISS Army, I later learned in life that Gene Simmons' tongue wasn't actually grafted from a cow due to an emergency surgery. I'm picturing John's tongue map.
Yes.
Dana Scully isn't the real redhead. I'll get over it. Yeah, that is kind of heartbreaking. And one can't truly settle disputes without a breakdancing showdown. I disagree, Brad. That's not true.
Yep.
That's true. Andrew writes that Walt Disney was frozen in cryogenics. Yeah. Is that not true?
We don't know that's not true.
Yeah.
Until proven otherwise, I'm going to believe it. I just heard his head was at the top of Cinderella's castle on ice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that might be a little too specific.
Yikes.
Martin writes, we live in a democracy and not an oligarchy.
Ow.
And then questions whether that's too deep. And David Weiner of, he's the fantastic director of the In Search of documentaries, In Search of Darkness, In Search of Tomorrow. He just attached a GIF or GIF, that shows you how dumb I am, of Santa Claus. And I'm not sure why he attached that when I was asking what's something you thought was true that turned out not to be true.
Santa Claus?
Yeah, it seems random.
Makes no
that he would
sense.
put a Santa Claus. I don't know why he would do that.
But
It has something to do with his reindeer. It's whether he has 8 or 9 reindeer. Because they always omit Rudolph.
There you go. Whether Rudolph, yes.
Yeah. Because a glowing nose reindeer, kind of sketchy.
There
Makes
you
sense.
go. All right. Hey, that's the show. I'm going to conclude that the three of us are smart. And I know that to be true. Oh, wait. Now maybe I'm dumb because I'm so certain.
wait. Oh.
You can say we're smart as
Certainly
long as you're not certain we're smart and you're willing to accept evidence that might prove otherwise.
Yeah, don't
Pretty
get too
sure we're
overconfident.
smart. Pretty sure we're
It's
smart.
like we're like Schrodinger's idiots.
I don't want to know. Do not open that box. It'll be heart crushing.
I'm fairly
Soul-crushing,
certain we're
heartbreaking.
somewhat intelligent.
But you can't be certain or we're dumb. Kat, you're wrecking it.
I'm fairly. I'm not totally certain. But I know who is super smart.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Very, very certain that all the folks that help bring our show to you every week are super duper intelligent.
Of course.
For example,
yeah.
there's our early adopters like Kathy Burke, Rick Parker, and Karen Flieger. So smart. And then there's our Secret of Our Success Level Patreon supporters, John Henderson, Craig Coletta, Marcus Taylor, and Tony Great.
Great.
They're all demonstrating their high IQ.
And impeccable taste in podcasts.
Thank you so much, guys. And joining them, I'm very excited to announce that we've got 3 new Patreon supporters, including
Really?
the first one, who would rather remain anonymous, but I can assure you has been very active in the Facebook, on the Facebook page with their comments, and has also emailed us directly some suggestions for different episodes.
Wow.
Some of which I'm still working on. I want to get them right before we actually get them out there. And in addition to that, we're also joined by Jillian Perry. Along with her contribution, Jillian writes, "It is my pleasure to support such a totally awesome podcast like 1980s Now. The 3 of you make a difference in people's lives with the show. Thank you for all you have done and will do in the future." Thank you so much,
Thank
Jillian.
you.
Really appreciate that. And finally, we are also joined by another supporter and another active commenter, someone who's just been really a wonderful listener and supporter of the show. Brad Bowman joins us as well. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Jillian, an anonymous supporter, your generosity is, we're grateful. And not only did you help us keep the lights on, as they say, it's true. Seriously, it's true. You know, there are bills to be paid every month, but more than anything, you lift our spirits and just encourage us to carry on. But you don't have to be a patron of the show and give us money. There's plenty of free ways to support the show, including just sending us an email. I'm Will at 1980snow.com. Kat is Kat at 1980snow.com. John is too busy to be bothered. And but you could also just make a comment on Facebook or one of our social media accounts. Kat, you've got one of those, right?
All right, we had a listener, Megan McCluskey, who wanted us to know that our episode about Cocaine Bear needs to come with a warning label. Do not listen while driving, because people next to you will think you have lost your mind. And she doesn't know the last time she laughed that hard in the car all by herself.
Me too. Me too.
Thank you for listening, Megan. You same.
Yeah.
It was actually very dangerous of me to listen to our episode while driving on the highway at night. That was not a good idea.
All right. Hey, somehow I wish I could just share the show exactly how we recorded it. And maybe one day I'll be brave enough to.
Someday.
And people could put it together however they want.
It's like a make your own ending, like
Yes.
choose your own
Choose
adventure
your own
book.
ending.
Yeah.
Choose your own adventure episode of the show.
It's more like choose your own podcast, which is not this one.
If you'd like Will to read the next news segment, turn to page 17. If you'd like John and Kat to interrupt him with para
I
jokes,
think a lot of people
turn
are
to
going
page
to be
44.
skipping to just straight to Gen X grown up. And that's cool. Hey, we will talk to you next time on this podcast, however.
Yeah.
1980s now.
Until next time.
See you guys later.
This podcast is part of the 80s Ruled Network. Visit the 80s Ruled on Facebook for more 1980s awesomeness.